And now to talk about our module of the week, let's turn over to Matt Glauman, principal software engineer at Acquia and a maintainer of a number of Drupal modules of his own. Matt, what do you have for us this week?
So I thought to be on point would be the AI provider module for LiteLLM. So this module was created in February of this year. There's versions 1.1 and 1.0 available that match the AI module itself's versioning. And the goal of the module is it integrates with LiteLLM, which is an AI gateway. I don't want to spoil too much because I'm sure there'll be a big part of the discussion today. But I feel like it is good. Light LLM is what a lot of organizations will end up going to when they want to use AI and give it access to their developers. So this module lets you have Drupal talk to the AI gateway at Light LLM instead of directly to OpenAI or Bedrock or your other providers. It's actively maintained. The maintainers are the three developers from FreelyGive, Marcus, Andrew, and Mark. It works by extending the OpenAI module itself and just tweaks it a little bit so that way you can use all the models available inside your Light LLM instance. And another cool thing about Light LLM is it is open source. So it's an open source AI gateway.
Very cool. I'm always very impressed with I don't know how Marcus has all this time because it seems like he is literally, in the AI module itself, in all of these other sub modules and, commenting and doing all the things. But good to see he's maintaining this. And yeah, I mean, I think there are, a ton of these modules out there. The ecosystem is very rich, and I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot of them today. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one that Matt, have you ever used Light LLM, and if so, what have you used it for?
Yes. So that's one where like I said, I don't want to steal a bit of the show because I'm sure that's exactly what Michael's going to dive into. But it has been for its governance features and cost and just You know, if anybody's worked with AI providers, all the APIs are just a little bit different. And one nice thing about Light LLM is it's the Open AI API. So if you're talking to AWS Bedrock, you just use the Open AI API framework or API
Hmm,
spec basically with that. So it just helps normalize your access.
So,
interesting.
so Drupal's already doing some of that by allowing you to swap providers, but it sounds like this is more it's better for inter-project compatibility too. Like if it's a large organization, you have multiple teams integrating with AI, it's great to use this because then everybody's integrating to the same point.
Yeah.
It's a
And I
proxy,
could say
right?
like, yeah, for internally for us is to make sure that developers can have access to LLMs at scale and monitor costs between departments.
Okay,
Hmm.
very cool. I also love their pricing model, which is if you're open source, it's free, and if everybody else is considered enterprise, then you have to get in touch. So no way to know how much this is going to cost you.
Interesting. So because I feel like I'm a dummy when I'm like, "Oh, AI, I got the AI, I know what AI is. Oh, LLM, I know what the acronym stands for." But I'm wondering, like, where does this sit kind of in the chain of, like, your Drupal site, right? So, like, let's imagine, like, I'm a user and I'm interacting with, like, Drupal chatbot, right? Like, so is Drupal and going through Lite LLM to your model backend and getting the data, and then so it's basically just providing that kind of like a normalization layer basically, right? Am I describing that right?
Yeah, some people
Yeah.
call it like an AI gateway, where instead
Ah,
of
okay.
talking to the LLMs directly, you add basically, it's like in a world you would like a reverse proxy is like another
Yeah, yeah.
topic
So
rather
instead
than
of
what
an
we know
API
in regular
gateway,
web.
you have it like a
Correct.
AI gateway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That makes
instead
sense.
of like, as a company, instead of that's what Matt referred to is like instead of giving everybody their own, let's say, OpenAI API keys directly, and you need to
Yep.
manage all on OpenAI, and then you need to do the whole also on Claude, and then you have another
Mhm.
one that you want to use, I don't know, DeepSeek and whatever. Instead, you just give them one API key on LiteLLM, and then in LiteLLM you can configure all these different endpoints. And the other, so that means you can also monitor the token usage and all that
Mhm.
stuff. Plus, yes, the API normalization. Your developers basically need to learn one API, which is the most common used. It's pretty much the standard right now. It's the OpenAI API, and in the background, it doesn't matter where the LLM is, what APIs they speak.
Now, if you're using Lite LLM and can you specify what backend you want it to use? Like,
Yeah,
hey, I want you to use Claude. Go get this information from them.
correct. Yeah, so
Ah,
you can
okay.
actually so you can give the developer the choice, or you can configure it in LiteLLM. So
Hmm.
I can provide you the models. I could literally tell you you're using Claude, but in the background you're actually using something else.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's also failover and load balancing capabilities, so that
Hmm.
if one of them does not respond in a specific amount of seconds, LiteLLM sends the request to another one and all that stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like an
nice.
API, an AI, or an LLM gateway is probably the right thing.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's the main feature of the module, is the
yeah.
OpenAI module itself has some very specific logic that checks the model name, so it's very OpenAI model specific. This just does a little bit of magic to make sure, like, oh, you're using Anthropic Claude. Great. It works just fine, even though it doesn't say GPT 3.5 or whatever in the model
Right.
name.
So it kind of normalizes it for you, so you don't have to think about like, oh, I gotta do the phrase it in a certain way or do a certain thing for this model.
Yeah.
Huh. Very cool.
I mean, I I I mean, I've been seeing a lot of these types of services where, like, the idea is that AI is moving so quickly, which model is good at which particular thing changes day to day, and being able to pivot quickly seems like a good service to provide, right? So, it seems like there's a lot of tools like that.
Just makes me
And
feel very basic in my AI use because I just use OpenAI for everything. So
but that's
again,
right. That's okay. Like for one individual people, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, if you like we have customers that think about how do I roll out now LLM access to 1,000 people? Like
yeah,
Yeah.
like telling them, and like they're saying, well, some of my people want to use Claude, other ones want to use that, and then I have, and now my infrastructure team just told me they bought some GPUs. Now we want to do on-premise stuff. Like, how do you manage all of this? And
Yeah.
so having one centralized point where everything goes through just makes it a lot easier. And that's what LiteLLM
It
does.
it 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 also depends on the integration side too, because I have a friend that, part of his job is writing AI for the company that he works for, right? The actual LLM side and logic, and so he uses a lot of AI internally, and he's told me that it's not just the model or the company, it it's also the integration that you're working with. So, for example, we all know Gemini in general is pretty bad, but they just had a new release. 2.5, I think. And he said that 2.5, if he uses it through like an IDE integration, it's the worst thing he's ever used. But if he uses it directly on the Gemini portal, it's currently the best code writer out there, which I don't know if Light LLM can help with that, but it's an interesting use case.
mm,
I mean, you can. I mean, there's a lot more that LiteLLM can do. Like one of the big things is guardrails. So you actually have another LLM that analyzes your prompt first before it's sent there, and you could basically inject the prompts, different things. There's also like a telemetry and observability part. Yeah, so there is a lot of things that you can modify the request if you really want to.
Yeah. All right. I think you found a good on topic module leak, Matt. If our folks wanted to suggest a module leak or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Thanks, Nick. Listeners, if you want to suggest a module of the week or just connect, you can reach out to Martin, who normally runs this segment, on Drupal Slack, or his handles are MannedClue on the socials.